What's up, sports fans, and welcome to the Sports Opinions Podcast. NFL Week 6 picks against the spread with the Lira Man. I'm your host, as always, Alex Cuesta. Unfortunately, Wally is not able to be with us tonight, but you got me. I'll be here. We'll be doing our thing that we do every single week. Hopefully everyone can bear with me and my voice. I've been feeling sick over the past few days, so if I sound a little nasally, more nasally than normal, it's just because I'm not feeling well. But we're going to do what we normally do, probably be a little bit quicker because Wally's not here, but we'll run it down the same way. We're going to go over our picks from last week, say how we did, what our overall records are. Then I'll talk about the big games of the week this week, and then I'll talk about our locks, and that's what we'll go from there. So we'll start off with Wally's picks. Last week was not as good of a week as the previous week. He went 1-2, his only hit being on his Patriots pick. He bought the pick down to minus 9.5, and the Pats ended up crushing Indianapolis 38-24, so that was a no-brainer there. He then picked the Rams minus 6.5 walking into Seattle. I tried to warn him about the 12th man. He said he did not believe in the 12th man. Then Seattle gave him a hell of a run, and even though the Rams came out on top, it was a slight victory. So his minus 6.5 there did not cover. And then he also picked the Eagles minus 2.5 at home against the Vikings. That did not cover. Kirk Cousins and the Vikings battled, and he ended up not getting the cover there. So again, overall 1-2 on the week. His record is still good on the year at 10-7. So trust him. He gave me his picks for this week, and he wanted me to let everyone know that the Lira Man is back. Lock it in, and I'll let you know what those picks are in a little bit. But we're going to go over my picks from last week real quick. I also had Indy at New England. I took New England at their straight up minus 10. Again, they covered. They won 38-24. I had Cincinnati minus 6.5 against Miami. They covered in their win 37-27. I had Green Bay going into Detroit minus 1. I don't know what the hell is going on in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers is not himself. That team is banged up. I really don't know what's going on, but they didn't cover at all. They ended up losing the game 31-23. I was surprised. I know Wally was talking about how Detroit is a good team. They have a good offense, and I don't disagree with him at all. But I just see Aaron Rodgers, and I guess the blinders come on, and I think that he's kind of Superman, and he can do anything, and turns out he can't. So I lost that one, and then I learned a valuable lesson. You don't pick against your favorite team, and I did. I picked against my Jets, and in one of the happiest times that I was wrong, the Jets ended up beating the absolute hell out of the Broncos in a pretty good statement game, 34-16. So overall last week, I was 2-2. I'm now 6-15 on the year. I need to stop losing, stop getting splits, and start getting some winning weeks, and that'll turn my record around because right now it still looks awful, and I'm not too happy with it. So hopefully that's going to start with this week. We're going to talk about our big games first, but interestingly enough, two of the big games are games that both Wally and I actually picked for our locks. So I'm going to go over the solo big game that isn't a lock for either of us, excuse me, and is a game that I would avoid like the plague. But it is Pittsburgh going into Cincinnati. Cincinnati is favored minus 2.5. And this is an important one for all Cincinnati Bengals faithful. I thought that they were not going to be a good team this year, but they're currently sitting at 4-1. They're the cream in the crop in the AFC North, and a win against rival Pittsburgh Steelers would really put a stranglehold on that division. They'd be 5-1. That would put the Steelers at 2-3-1. The Browns would be trailing, and the only team closest to them would be Baltimore, who's sitting at 3-2 and has a tough matchup this week. So I would not touch that game, but with the up and down tendencies of the Steelers this year, I think you have to go with the Bengals and how they played. They've been a good team all year. They're 2-0 at home. They're 4-1 on the season. Minus 2.5 is a low number, but if they're going to win, it's probably going to be by a field goal, a last-second field goal, late game. So a 3-point victory is not out of the realm of possibility. Again, this isn't a game that I would favor to bet on, but if you are going to bet it, my advice there would definitely be going with the Bengals, go with the home team in a tight matchup like this. Now, that's going to let me jump right into Wally's picks, because one of the games that is a big game is also one of his picks. That is the Kansas City Chiefs, the undefeated 5-0 Kansas City Chiefs, visiting the New England Patriots, who sit at 3-2 and seem to have righted the ship. And it seems like Vegas is giving them credit for righting that ship. Vegas has them favored at -3, and Wally likes them there. Wally likes the Pats sitting at -3 over the Chiefs, handing them their first loss. This one's tough for me because it really looks like Patty Mahomes has answered all adversary. If he's going to get his first loss, this would be the place to do it. Patriots are known for their last-second field goal wins. This is a really tough one. I like where Wally's head is at. If you haven't noticed with Wally's picking history, he likes the Pats a lot, and I can't blame him. They're a good team to pick. They cover a lot. Tom Brady's unbelievable. Bill Belichick is great. It's all still there. They make do even when their weapons aren't healthy, and they make new weapons out of guys that aren't there. Josh Gordon is now 3 games deep. He knows the system. It's tough to bet against, and this one is a game that I necessarily wouldn't have touched, but Wally is confident about this game, and Wally's confident about all 3 of his picks this week. So if I were you guys, I would definitely heed his advice. Wally is usually confident, but he was talking with utmost confidence this week. So trust the million Lira Man. You'll win some money. So he has Pats -3, handing the Chiefs their first loss. Next game Wally has, he is taking the Thursday night game. He is taking the Giants at home +3 against the defending champion Eagles. Giants are 1-4. Eagles are 2-3. Eagles are favored in this game as the visiting team at -3. He likes the Giants being able to cover. I don't necessarily think that he thinks the Giants are going to win the game, because I don't necessarily think they're going to win the game. Even though the Eagles have struggled, Carson Wentz is looking better and better each and every single week. But I happen to agree with Wally that at home, at MetLife Stadium, especially if there's going to be weather this tomorrow, there's going to be some rain, that's going to put it as a toss-up game. I think the Giants can use their superior running game with Saquon Barkley, because he is the best running back in the game, especially with Jay Ajayi now out for the year, and keep this game close, if not outright win it. I happen to agree with Wally here. I like that pick. Giants +3 against the Eagles. If they lose, it's not going to be by over 3 points, and they have a very good chance at winning, especially in a muck-it-up game that it should be tomorrow night. His final pick, he likes the Chicago Bears going into Miami. They are favored -3, and he likes that. He's going to take the Bears -3. They're 3-1 on the year. The Dolphins were exposed terribly last week, and Mitchell Trubisky just keeps on getting better and better and better. They have the better running back with Jordan Howard. Their defense is I don't know if they're better. I like Miami's pass rush, but I really like what I've seen out of Mitchell Trubisky. He exploded, and he's finding guys like Tyler Gabriel, and he's not even really using Allen Robinson a whole lot, who is a very good wide receiver. So I like the Bears here, and I like Wally's pick. I like -3 against the Finns. I think that the Bears can absolutely blow the doors off the Finns in this game. They could be headed for their second straight blowout loss. So, again, this is a pick that I like coming from Wally. And, I like all 3 of his picks this week. The only one that I would second guess is possibly Chiefs versus Pats. But, again, Wally is confident. His quote exactly, let me get it up here because he texted me. His quote exactly is, "Lock it up, throw away the key, the million Lira Man is back." So he is guaranteeing a bounce back week off of his 1-2 week last week. So trust the man at his word. He'll deliver you some money. We're going to move on to my locks of the week. I'll start with the big game that was there. The big game is Baltimore at Tennessee. I mentioned Baltimore is in a tough one. Now, at face value, this game doesn't look very sexy. Tennessee doesn't score a lot of points. Baltimore is good, but they're Baltimore. You never know. The Titans just find ways to keep games close. Baltimore is favored -3 here. I like the Titans covering that. The Titans are home. They're a team that likes to make it messy. Marcus Mariota has the ability to blow games up and really play well. I know the Ravens are playing good football right now, but I really like what Tennessee can do here, especially being home. And they've been playing their last few weeks. I think all 5 of their weeks have just been really, really messy, really muck it out type of games. In a situation, again, where I think it's similar to Wally's Giants pick, that if they do lose, they'll probably still cover at +3. So I'm a big fan of this game. I really think Tennessee is going to cover it against a Ravens team that can be good and can be bad. You don't know which team you're going to get. So I like the Titans at home +3 in this battle of 3 and 2 players. And also, Titans are 2-0 at home this year. So take that with a grain of salt. It's early in the year, but they are 2-0 at home. My next 2 locks, I'll start off with Arizona at Minnesota. Minnesota is sitting at -10.5. And I think any team playing Arizona is a pretty good pick right now. Arizona is not a good team. They're 1-4. Josh Rosen looked good last week. He looks like he can be better than what they were getting out of Sam Bradford, definitely. But Kirk Cousins is playing at a high level. For some reason, it just has not been resulting in getting wins. They're only sitting at 2-1. They have that one tie sitting there, but Kirk Cousins is playing good football. They need to get Dalvin Cook healthy so they can establish him more. I don't know if he's still on a limit in terms of his running this week, but ultimately I think that the Vikings will easily cover against the Cardinals at -10.5. I think the Vikings are going to destroy them, especially that they're home and they're the home team. They definitely have the advantage, and I really like Minnesota in this game. My next lock, my third and final lock, I like the Los Angeles Rams kicking in the door in Denver and beating the Broncos. Rams are sitting at -7. And from what I saw from the Broncos defense against my Jets last week is they are really vulnerable to a good air attack. And the Jets don't even have a good air attack. And they're vulnerable to a run game where the Rams check off all the boxes. And their defense is absolutely stalwart. So the Rams should be able to completely and totally control this game. Von Miller was not really a factor last week, and you would think against a dysfunctional up and down offensive line like the Jets that Von Miller would have had a field day. I'm pretty sure last week I predicted that Von Miller was going to make Sam Darnold's life miserable. It was the absolute contrary. The Jets gutted them with Isaiah Crowell and Bilal Powell, and then Darnold was able to find really deep touchdowns. Bradley Roby being burned twice by Robbie Anderson. So the Broncos had problems. The Jets exposed a lot of the Broncos last week. They got their asses kicked, and I just think the Rams are going to capitalize on that. The Rams are a better team than the Jets. That is not a secret at all. They are a complete team with Gurley, with their outside weapons of Cooper Kupp, Brandon Cooks. They just have so many weapons there. They're a good team. Jared Goff is a fantastic quarterback, and I just think -7 is a pretty much a lock. I think the Rams are just going to kick the hell out of the Broncos, and I don't think it's going to be close. And last but not least, I am going to give you my New York Jets pick that I give you every week. Last week, I made the mistake of betting against my favorite team. That will not happen again this week. The Colts are coming into MetLife to visit the Jets. Jets are favored at -2.5 again. They are a favored team. They were favored last week against the Broncos. I doubted it like a psycho. Vegas knows what they're doing. As long as they can execute like they did last week and established a run game, they should be fine, which I don't see why they can't do that. The Colts are definitely vulnerable on the ground, and the Jets showed last week that they have a very competent ground game. So what you're going to get out of them is good running. You're going to definitely see a heavy dosage of Isaiah Crowell and Bilal Powell again. And I think the Jets will come away and cover this spread, -2.5. I think they definitely should win by at least a touchdown. So I like the Jets in this game. So again, I'm gonna run down our picks. The Million Lira Man, Wally, he likes the Giants +3 against the Eagles, the Bears -3 against the Dolphins, and the Patriots -3 against the Chiefs. I like the Vikings against the Cardinals, Vikings -10.5. The Rams -7 visiting Denver. And I like the Titans +3 against the Ravens. And then my Jets pick is my Jets -2.5 against the Colts. Again, this one was a little bit shorter than normal, mostly because Wally isn't here to give me the secondary banter, but also because I'm just not feeling too well. Again, thanks for listening to the Week 6 NFL Picks Against the Spread. I'm your host, Alex Cuesta. Find me on Twitter and Instagram at @A_Cuesta30. Find Sports Opinions on Twitter at SportsOpinion30 and on Instagram at SportsOpinions30. Visit the Facebook page and listen on anywhere you can listen to podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Spotify, Spreaker, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. And please do us a favor now and go onto your iTunes and give us a 5-star review. A 5-star review gets us pushed up further on the podcast list. So the more 5-star reviews we get, the further we get pushed up in the suggestion line, and that would only benefit us here greatly at Sports Opinion. So please go ahead and do that. My usual partner in crime on these, Wally the Million Lira Man. He's very good with all the picks. He'll give you picks weekly for different games, and he'll just give you different sports commentary. You can find him on Twitter at Million Lira Man. Go get all your great content from him there in terms of sports betting. And he'll definitely be back with me next week, and we'll be hopefully live again. I think we plan on doing another live show, so hopefully he'll be sitting right next to me when I do this next week. But again, thanks for listening. This was the Sports Opinions Podcast. Have a good one, and happy betting.